Hello guys, it's May 2020. It's a 2220 day. How did the market fare today? Actually, you could say that the market pretty much did nothing. Let's take a look at the statistics to show you that there was a relatively very low volume day. Your market value is 2.7 billion pesos. That's lower than your usual. You continue to have more new lows, two 52-week new lows. You've got 88 decliners and only 84 advancers. One of the biggest gains today came from BPI and Globe. BPI up 3%, Globe 3%, Metro Bank up 3%. Now, is there anything happening in the banks that we should take a look at, given that they have been pretty much decimated in the last few days? So for Globe, that's a good thing. It's up 2%. The rest of our G pump picks, Mrs. G trying to claw back all the losses in the past few weeks, up 2%, 1.67. Your Globe is up 2276, nearing your all-time highs, which is 23. Meralco is steady. URC is down 2%, 121. You've got PLDT unchanged, almost unchanged, 1.2. Pure Gold is teetering at 45. That is, yeah, so most of your market, what we like, the G pump continues to be just, steady. And then you could see so far that RHI, it is still strong. Actually, $70, 70 pesos for the day, but still significantly up. Take a look at our stats. What has happened today? From the most significant trades, you could see that one of the largest trades are happening on your BPI, Globe, Metro Bank. So Metro Bank is slowly crawling up. You've got Globe going up. BPI is also going up. So take a look on all of our charts and analytics. There's not much news. I actually took a look at PSE. Nothing much to explain. On your massive disclosures, it would be ABS-CBN, and it would be this action, which is the House of Representatives are planning to renew the franchise of ABS-CBN because, of course, it got a cease and desist by the NTC. It will have another 5 days to reply to that cease and desist comment. But yeah, I think that's the main news for the Philippine market. Let me see. Mabagal. Let's just go straight to the charts, no? Let's chart them one by one. You've got a lot of companies that continue to just exhibit dead cat bounces. So last night in USA, after the Moderna vaccine, the rally was faded, and Moderna fell about 10% last night after the $1 billion share offering. You could see that everyone generally took profit, but it's not really true because there were also some news in the US front. This is actually one of our topics later, 4 topics. We'll discuss Spotify, House Party, Disney as new CEO to TikTok, and Facebook buying Jiffy. You can follow us later, 5 p.m. Philippine time, wherein we discuss where we discuss more global topics. But in the Philippines, I would say that given Moderna dropping, Philippines has been weak for quite some time. We're still seeing very low volume. As you could see, the 2.7 billion pesos liquidity of value traded today tells you that in the Philippines, liquidity is leaving and it's going to cash. So this drop is really a drop because of some people. As you could see, volume is falling, prices are falling. That doesn't mean that it's being distributed. What it only means is that Pure Gold has some believers not wanting to wait because the entire market is weakening. Your liquidity in your Philippine stock index is very bad. Now, take a look at what happened with Globe. Of course, that happened as well with Globe for a while. Our pick, which was Globe, was falling at about 2,080. We recommended to buy. So for the G pump picks, fundamentally, as long as it's good, then drops would be bought out. So how low can it fall? So for Globe, it actually just retested this previous high of about 2.1 and followed consequently to 2.3. For your pure gold, I think this is what's gonna happen. If you go to the charts, just take a look at the retracements. So for very strong names such as pure gold, you generally should expect very, very mild retracements. And that's what you're having right now. Typically 26 to 50, that is your current move. As long as pure gold stays somewhere in this zone, we can say that it's just directionless. Directionless because it waits for the market to give it a sign to go up, whether that would be the catalyst through the earnings or the catalyst through your MSCI. But definitely what we're seeing is that the MSCI so far has no material impact in the share price of pure gold. Even if pure gold has been added into your MSCI, you could see that volume is dropping. Yes, there are sellers, but it isn't a sign to get out or panic. It's just a sign that the market is not really in a place where it wants to go higher. Why? Take a look at your PSEI. Your PSEI today is functioning through your big cap. Or of course, PSEI has 5 names that comprise 50%, meaning even if Philippines is 200 plus names, only 5 names are dictating the biggest moves of your PSEI. Namely, of course, your SM and your SM. Doing nothing as well. Take a look as well at SM Prime. We've got SM Prime primarily. Well, after the decrease on MSCI's weighting, it has barely gone up. SM Prime. I think my internet. Is it my internet? Perhaps my net. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so BDO is about 6% of your Philippine market. And as you could see, with the weakness of BDO unable to shatter that 100 mark, 100 peso mark, could see that the bears continue to pound your financials, but little volume. So even if the market is falling, we could see that not everyone wants to sell down and panic. There's no volume, meaning nobody. They're all waiting lower. Maybe they're waiting at 85 or they're waiting at 80. But the point is, the lack of buyers is also a troubling thing. This is a different story though. BPI itself is rallying to 64. So I'm not sure if the market in itself hates the banks or just hates BDO or just likes BPI per se. But from the bank's perspective, if you look at the financials, only BPI is the odd man out, with all the banks really going down. Security Bank continues to fall. I would say that this was brought about due to the MSCI, but also because, as you could see, all the banks have been on a decline due to the provision of losses in the sector. That is also crippling East West, even if earnings was up 72% yesterday. The question really is not about the earnings last year or last quarter, but how would be the provisions for losses next year, which is still a question mark. Oh, so these drops, whether it goes to new lows, you could see that if it goes new low with high volume, then that means that there's still a lot of MSCI dragging weight, and there are still people who are still afraid of what's really to come for the banks. Now, let's take a look in some MSCI names that were deleted. So we know that MWIDE, East West, Macro Asia was falling down. So far in today's day, we could say that even if MWIDE was falling to new lows, you have significant volume. Now it means that some people are willing to fight the sellers and are trying to bargain hunt at these levels. Whether it goes new low or so forth, they're probably trying to nibble and nibble. That's a good thing. If you want capitulation to happen in low names, you want to actually see volume. So this is a good thing. We might be seeing a bottoming out soon for MWIDE As for how low it can go, is that $5, 5 pesos enough for MWIDE? It remains to be seen. But this is something that a person like a trader would want to see. They want to see people coming out with high volume on the lows to say that a capitulation or a change of hands from sellers to buyers happening now at once. Now, let's take a look in Macro Asia. Macro Asia, of course, benefited last night on the Moderna news. The Moderna vaccine has generally helped the airline sector abroad. Macro Asia being in the airlines sector via maintenance and ground handling has seen a beneficial 25% pop. Now, high volume yesterday on the increase, that tells us that Macro Asia, similar to MWIDE, might be seeing a lot of buyers and could be just, taking profits today after the 20% pop. But any rallies, of course, this is still your resistance, but we could see that it is trying to bottom out. Whether it retests that 4 peso below soon, you could see that if the volume continues to rise, then you could see that the trading range is still there with with a lot of, that still is a tradable rally. So as long as this 350 to 4 peso zone gets bought, you could say that the bulls are still here while the bears are still here. So it's really a tug of war. It's a trading range for Macro Asia. Let's take a look in your battered sectors. Battered sectors would be your restaurants. I'd say that Max's and Pizza have been falling down these past few days. And let's take a look whether we can see some supports here at the gap fill. Now, Max has really rallied pretty strongly since the March lows of about 424, rallying almost about 90% here at about 740. So let's look at how much this retracement has already been. This retracement has been already half, meaning halfway at about 580. Some people have started to really sell it all the way down. Whether we could see it retest here at about 546 to 5 area, we want to see the bullish action, the ones who buy here with volume, start to pick things up back here for a retest. That would be your double bottom, or it would be a sense that, hey, maybe we could start rallying back soon. So take a look whether you've got volumes coming in at the lows. So far, the problem with Maxis is really the lack of volume. It means that even if it's going down, sure, that is a bearish sign, but without volume, that is not as bad as it looks. Any drops, if you get a volume buyer here, it could rally again. Take a look as well with, so Bloomberry. We've seen casinos. These are generally being taken for granted in the Philippines. But in the US, we've seen a lot of casinos rallying 100% from their lows. Granted, maybe the Philippines is a weaker market and we have a slower recovery. It still remains to be seen whether this February, 9 peso drop to about 4 could be taken advantage of by some bargain hunting. Bloomberry still reported $1 billion of profit in the first quarter, even with just 2 months of sales. Can people speculate on the reopening to further increase the revenues for Bloomberry in the second half? We'll take a look, but so far the volume is here. It's imminent that there will be some volume buyers once we see lower prices. So we'll see whether Bloomberry at 5 pesos or near 460 get a buyer. But if it stays here at 529, that's even better. If bullish people can start accumulating Bloomberry here along with the share buyback program of Rizal, then it is a better thing. Bloomberry is still doing a lot of share buybacks here at about 530. So those who want to buy can buy. Now, another Rason company today is Manila Water. Let's take a look in Manila Water. Today, there's not a lot of news, so we'll just dig into a lot of charts. So far, Manila Water has been one of the best movers since your March lows. And I would say that it's typical because water is still seen as a very stable industry. So you could see this uptrend channel. Any drops of Manila Water back to about 10, 11 is a great zone to be picking it up. as it could continue to go up to 13 and 14. So you want to check out Manila Water as one of your conservative utility picks, given that there is no risk of regulatory overhang Manila Water stock. What else? So I think we've covered so charts. Yeah. Take a look at Mrs. G, how it's moving now. We can say that the volume is still very slow, very, very low. This is your Mrs. G chart. I would say that the downside has been cushioned because of cash dividend this coming end of May. So there are still people willing to buy this 150 area. So far, just by looking at the chart, how low has it gone down? You'd see that it's actually been able to retrace half of its retracement. So the fact that Pure Gold was only able to retrace just here at 179 tells you that only two outcomes can happen to Pure Gold. Either it goes down to about 50% FIBO if the earnings disappoint, like what happened with Mrs. G, or it goes up to new highs. This is what happened with RHI. Let me show to you. So from about 60, this is the market reaction for your RHI. I remember that the news was at 60 here. So earnings was released somewhere here, and it rallied to about 69. Let me check just to be sure. So when Robinson's Retail, the owner of mini stop supermarkets, April 30, 2020, jumped 45%. So let's go to April 30. Tama ba? April 30 is this. So here, so April 29, this is that move. This is April 29. So the next day that the earnings was released, of course, you see 62 go up. This is your rally from about 62 to as high as 70, which is a 15% up. So this is really gonna be a coin toss. You have to either believe that Pure Gold will report great earnings so that 45 goes to about 50 and above, or it has bad earnings wherein it goes back to 40. Until that earnings call happens, I would say that it will just consolidate and really have it's just gonna retrace, similar to what happened here in Mrs. G, where Mrs. G's was falling, but it was steady here at 179. Only when Mrs. G reported bad earnings did it fall down to about 50% Fibonacci. So take a look again in Pure Gold. This is what's gonna happen. Your 50% is about 38. If you have bad news, Pure Gold goes down to 38. If it doesn't have bad news, take a look because it's gonna break out your 49 and go to about 64. So you have to really believe whether earnings are good or earnings are bad. Until then, you have about a month to wait because Pure Gold already reported that they would release their earnings before June 15. I think that's what the PSE Edge said. So so you have to give it some time because until that news happens, there will be nothing happening for that company at the moment. Okay, so let's take a look at ABS-CBN, given that it's still in the news, the cease and desist. Okay, so here's what happened with your ABS-CBN. You've got buyers with volume at the 15 level. Probably some people still don't know what's the outcome. But for the bulls, this is a triple retest for ABS at 15, showing that, okay, December at the height of negative news, we buy it at 15, it rallied to 25. At the height of bad news, we buy it again because that was the March lows. Now with the negative news on ABS cease and desist, people started buying at 15. We could say that the 15 mark has been an impenetrable support. So for those looking for buys, 15 is your support. Anyone liking ABS-CBN's fortunes for the next couple of years due to that franchise renewal could buy near 15. Where can you expect some resistance? Of course, you'll see some resistance here at 17 to 18 because these were people who got shocked with the news. But if that 17 to 18 gets taken out, next resistance is here at about 20. And so that's still a good risk reward for people who want to trade. This is a tradable stock. But yeah, in the Philippines, I would say from the stats, with very low volume and more decliners, you could expect that the market is waiting for a catalyst, either earnings or better news front on the Philippine government in addressing the COVID pandemic, whether more tax perks or a lot of incentives so that the Philippine market can rally. This is the good news. So we could see a mixed bag here in the Philippine market. We'll see whether the volume, I think one of the most bullish indicators of a market is whether the volume can pick up. If you could see the market valuation from about 2 billion go to about 5 billion, that can tell you that, okay, there's the bargain hunting coming in. But without it, the Philippines will still stay steady and waiting for lower prices. And I think in the Philippine market, if you take a look in your Fibonacci, everyone is still waiting at about 5,000 here. Your 50% Fibonacci is 4,987. And I'd say that the catalyst for that drop is whether SM, some of your heavyweights have to either go down, or if they don't go down, that's a good thing too. If they don't go down, it means that the market will eventually pick itself up and potentially break your current highs. So as of now, we're at a standstill. The fact that the Philippine market, your 5.9 is steady here at 5.5, this shows to me that it's trying to be strong. And that strength primarily comes from SM, Ayala Corp. These are your big heavyweights in the market. Your SM Prime, take a look at it. So the fact that SM Prime was able to stay steady here at 28 and 32, and as long as your Ayala Land, even with negative earnings, is staying here at 32, that means that if they can pull the team above, then you should be happy for the Philippine market. So the Philippine market's MVPs, your Michael Jordan MVP of your top 5 in the Philippines remains SM, AC, Ali, SM Prime, and BDO. So if these 5 continue to be strong, your BDO really is weak now, so it's like a bench player. But if either BDO has to go up for the market to follow, or the other 4 has to go down with BDO. So we'll see what the market decides, but that's really what's happening in your Philippine market. Okay, thank you very much. See you again tomorrow. That's your market wrap up for the day.